Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
9 años pidiendo el snack wrap. Aquí tienes tu snack wrap. ¿Tú quieres un snack wrap? Toma tu snack wrap. ¿Tú también? Toma un snack wrap. Snack wrap, snack wrap, snack wrap. Volvió el snack wrap. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love, starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso Virtual Coffee Machines. Ready to enjoy the bold flavors of barista-quality Nespresso iced coffee at home? Simply fill a glass with ice and press the brew button on your virtual pop machine to enjoy rich double espressos roasted to stand up even when chilled. Refreshingly bold iced coffee. Refreshingly easy to make at home. Visit Nespresso.com to shop now.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream house or ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Jennifer Mulholland and Jeff Shuck, welcome to the conversation today.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thanks for having us.
It's a real pleasure. Jennifer, you're joining us from Park City, Utah. Jeff, you're joining us from South Bend, Indiana. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Orem, Utah. And today we're going to be talking about conscious leadership. I love talking about all things leadership, conscious leadership. This is a really great subtopic, and I'm excited to explore your insights and experiences in relation to this today. As we get started, I wanted to share Jennifer and Jeff's bios with everybody. Jennifer Mulholland is an author, strategist, alchemist, executive coach, and co-owner of Plenty Consulting. From a very young age, she's been dedicated to raising the consciousness of people on the planet. For the last decade, she and her business partner, Jeff Shuck, have helped thousands of conscious leaders and businesses grow in revenue, impact, and fulfillment. Before becoming a co-owner of Plenty, Jennifer was Chief Innovation Officer at SunGard, a Fortune 500 technology company. She founded several businesses focused on bridging the gap between information and impact in healthcare technology and holistic well-being. I could say a whole lot more about you, Jennifer. I'll pause here in a minute and let you share a little bit more about yourself. Jeff Shuck is an accomplished leader and entrepreneur with deep experience in leadership development, consulting, and social impact. Jeff is co-owner of Plenty Consulting with his business partner, Jennifer Mulholland. Together, they have helped thousands of for-profit and nonprofit leaders and organizations create their strategies, grow their fundraising, innovate new programs, and develop conscious cultures. Before founding Plenty, Jeff was co-founder and CEO of fundraising firm 360, raising nearly $1 billion for charity over 20 years. Again, I'm going to pause there. Now, Jeff and Jennifer, anything you both would like to highlight about your backgrounds, personal context before we dive on in?
Well, thanks for teeing that up. Yes, there's a lot. I think when you get into your 50s, you have a lot of different varied experiences. So yeah, we're grateful to have a conversation today and really proud of the work that we get to do with conscious leaders and conscious businesses all over the world who really care about making this world a better place through loving what they get to do and doing meaningful work. So
yeah, and maybe John, I'll just add, we get asked this a lot. We are married, although not to each other, and we're both parents. I think between us we have 6 kids, so that's a whole nother leadership experience, as many of your listeners know, when the people you're trying to lead had the same last name as you do. So that experience comes into bear a lot too.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I am also married, but not to either of you. I have 6 children.
Wow.
And you're absolutely right. Down here in Orem, I'm a professor here at Utah Valley, and I love your social impact focus. In addition to being chair and professor in the organizational leadership department, I'm academic director of our Center for Social Impact here at UVU, and we do a lot of work in the social impact space. In an effort trying to at least make a small difference in the world, making the world a better place. The world is so messy. There's so much to do, so much that needs to be done. And so I just applaud you and your work and the many efforts that you're making to make that impact sustainable. So congratulations on the good work that you do. And I'm excited to hear more about that work and how we can all do a little bit more, do it a little bit better as we move forward. All right. Well, let's start with defining conscious leadership a little bit. To you, what does that mean, conscious leadership, and how can leaders benefit from it?
Yeah, well, we define it as we've written in our new book, Leading with Light, Choosing Conscious Leadership When You're Ready for More, in 3 ways. Conscious leadership to us means being aware, aligned, and intentional about how you lead yourself and how you lead others in work and life. And, we joke a lot that 90% of consciousness or being conscious is the awareness part, being aware of what works for you, being aware of the people that you're leading, what they need and want, being aware of the need of your customer or client or cause, being aware of the dynamics and the forces at play that are constantly changing, being aware of where you lean in and where you lean out, what we call, excuse me, where you light up, where you're really passionate and innately wired to care. So awareness is a lot of the work that we get to do individually as leaders and business people, and bring that awareness to the organization, so that we can make sure that we're aligning on the service we're providing, where we're showing up, what impact is really needed, and what impact is meaningful. So maybe I'll throw the baton to you, Jeff, and maybe you want to unpack the alignment piece. So I talked about awareness being 90% of it. Then when you're aware of it, there's an alignment piece of understanding where I'm in and out of alignment with what I care about, what I'm good at, and why I'm here. Do you want
Yeah, I mean, I think you just summed it up well. What we're trying to draw a contrast to is the kind of reactive management that many of us get great at as we progress in our careers, or as we progress as parents. Kind of, I'm great at responding to whatever comes at me. I'm great at reacting to whatever, crises or problems emerge. That's a little bit different than what we're pointing to in alignment, about choosing, having agency, and deciding what works for us. And that leads us to the third piece that Jen was teeing up, which is intention, about looking ahead and saying, how do I want to be? How do I want to walk from this place into the world? Instead of feeling like we're kind of responding, reacting, juggling to all these things, deciding that we're allowed to raise our own hand and pick the way that we want to show up and change the world around us.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be an element of response to leadership, right? There's always going to be some fires that need to be put out. There's going to be some emergencies that need to be responded to. There's always that aspect when you're leading in complex times, complex organizations, complex teams, right? But if all you're ever doing is responding, if all you're ever doing is running around like a chicken with your head cut off, putting out fires, you're not really leading. Leaders are supposed to be planning and strategizing, and they're supposed to be trying to look around corners, and trying to provide a vision for the future. And you can't do that if you're only ever responding. You got to be proactive rather than just reactive. And that sounds nice. I mean, I think we all know that. And you get leaders sitting around a table at a retreat, and they're all going to say that. The problem is, in reality, when the rubber meets the road, most default back to just being reactive. They just default back to just putting out fires every day. At least that's what I observe.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe to just go a little bit deeper on that, at a certain, this is cliche to say, but when you get to a certain point in your career or a certain level of an organization, you really have a job to deal with the things that no one else can deal with, right? Because if you've done a fairly good job of having a reinforcing culture and you've hired a great team, they're going to handle most of the things that are easy to handle. So the only things that get to you are the tricky things. And that's one of the dilemmas here is, okay, how do I be proactive? How do I lead with intention when a lot of my job might be to deal with the only fires, problems, issues, and messes that no one else can clean up? So that's what we're unpacking the book and doing a lot of our work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had a conversation. This was towards the end of last week, maybe Thursday, and the leader honestly couldn't wrap their mind around, like, what do you do with your time if you're not just putting out fires and being responsive? Like, they honestly didn't think someone who wasn't doing that was working. They thought that a person, a leader, an executive who wasn't doing that was not working, was not like doing their job. Right? Does that make sense? Like, they thought someone who was like spending time proactively thinking and strategizing and working on relationships and strategic partnerships and like all the stuff that goes on beforehand, all the stuff that's like the hard work beforehand, that doesn't count. The only stuff that counts is like the in your face, obvious, out in front, cleaning up fires, messes, and like rushing in, coming to the rescue stuff. Right? How do you like disrupt that mentality?
It's such a great example of limiting belief and identity. Because I would say that person has their own definition of value, what counts, what automatic habits maybe they've been trained on create worth for them. But our kind of lens is that every organization is made up of human beings.
Hmm.
And that idea or belief or construct that a leader is only there to put out fires, to problem solve, the more they perpetuate that belief, the more they are going to be attracting problems to solve. So if they're identifying as their leadership style as one of my kind of flags that I anchor is that I'm a problem solver. And if I don't, or a fire putter outer. And if there's no fires to put out, who am I?
Right.
So in
You're fighting
order
fires.
for that worth to be fed, we need to attract more problems to solve.
Yeah.
But it's completely limited. And there are other ways. You could make a great case that actually great leadership is about allowing others to solve, not being the magic answer machine, but to simply show up with full presence and practicing being there for your people and for yourself so that you can really take in all the multidimensionality in a certain situation and invite other people to participate. And you empower the group, the collective, we say the wisdom's in the room. You literally help to unveil the wisdom that's beyond your ego to solve the problem yourself. So that's the juicy part that we love to get into around helping leaders get out of their own self-limited glass ceilings, boxes, right? That are perpetuating a cycle that maybe they've outgrown, or maybe
Mm.
the time is no longer needed for that. It's not to say leadership doesn't involve complicated solutions or,
Sure.
problem solving. But if that's the only lens that we have identified our worth as a leader and our value that we place, we're going to just continue to create environments and teams and cultures that are made up of that so that we matter.
Yeah, yeah, very well said. And yeah, it becomes toxic whether they mean it to be or not, right? Like that leader can be completely well intentioned,
Sure.
and they just want to help, right? They just want to help those around them solve problems, but what they don't realize is they're creating a dynamic where they're disempowering those around them. They're becoming the sole fixer, right? Everyone has to come to them to be able to solve any issue, big or small, and they become a bottleneck and they become limiting. All becomes limiting, the whole thing, right?
Hmm.
And it just, regardless of their intention, it really just becomes very frustrating to everyone around them.
Well, and I'll thread back in the social impact space, which you brought up at the beginning of the call, and it's where we've done a lot of our work. And because, as you said, there are a lot of messes to clean up in this world, there's an archetype in that space that's probably in every industry where people shine in times of crisis, whether
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a fire, whether it's, a relocation, whether it's hurricane relief, whatever it is. And that we need people like that. But when you only can shine in a crisis, as Jen's pointing to, you start manufacturing crises. And there are really competent people that we've worked with who externally are incredible at dealing with messes and cleaning them up, but then need to make messes in their own organization because it's the only way that they can see that they're exercising their leadership. So it's tough to say, the best leaders when things are chaotic exude calm. They don't ramp up the chaos. And conversely, sometimes when everyone's complacent, the role of a leader is to shake things up a little bit and to be a little provocative. So
Mm.
being able, right, that takes proactivity, that takes agency to decide in advance, like what's needed at this moment, rather than slotting yourself into a particular role and saying, I'm really good at this. Well, you could be really good at a lot of things. And the question is what's needed by the people around you and what's needed by the world around you.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really great point. So that adaptiveness, depending on the context that you're in, the people that you're working with, and what they need to, so you can bring out the best in them. All of that is really contextualized, right? You've mentioned a couple times about alignment, how important alignment is. Can you speak a little bit more to that in this conscious leadership kind of mindset? How do you help leaders find that alignment piece, especially like if you come in and you have well-intentioned people, like say in the nonprofit space, you've done a lot of work in that space. Everyone, I mean, not everyone, I suppose, but most people in the nonprofit space, they're super well intentioned, right? They're there because it's a labor of love. They have big hearts. They want to make a difference, right? But not everyone in the nonprofit space running a nonprofit knows what they're doing. They have maybe money, or they have a purpose, they have something they want to accomplish. They don't really know how to run an organization, or they don't know how to do what they need to get done. But they have good intentions. So how do you help move someone from that good intention towards this alignment and conscious leadership?
Yeah, maybe I'll just tee that up. There's a few ways we teach this. I think you'll hear us in our language, and it's the title of our book, around aligning with light, that higher source, that your soul, your essence, your intuition, your knowing. So there's an individual alignment that needs to happen first before you seek external alignment. And it doesn't happen in order. We practice in the presence of community and in others, and with those we lead. But the real opportunity is to help leaders slow down, to listen to their knowing, to their intuition, to what do they sense in the room? What do they sense is needed from their client or customer? What are the dynamics at play? How do they know when they're contracted and when they're open and expanded? So there's teachings around aligning to our own light, our own intuition, so that we can really lead from a place of authenticity. And when we do that, we really kind of teach people to be present, to bring their full presence to their leadership. Because when they're practicing that, then they invite others to do the same. So when the other individuals on the team can be encouraged to slow down, to be present in a meeting, for example, for not looking at text, not looking at other windows, like not checking email, like really being there.
Mm-hmm.
Then what happens is they're able to bring more awareness, more sensing of what needs to be discussed, solutions bubble up, different pathways to discuss happens, right? And then there's a way that we can really we facilitate, we call it the Trinity of Alignment, helping teams uncover their passions, their strengths, and making sure those two things are aligned to the need of the organization, or need of the community, or need of the cause. That there's a simple way to architect, where do we light up? Where do we naturally lean in and come alive? We call that passion. What are we really great at? Our strengths. And then how do those things individually and collectively on the team align to the need of the organization, cause, or community? So it's not rocket science, but we kind of have put a lot of layers and complexity of how we're surviving, instead of slowing down to really talk about what lights us up, where do we lean in, what matters, and how do we know when we know, all those things that kind of get corrupted when we're running on the hamster wheel fighting out fires.
And that last point, John, if I may, there's a nuance here, or a subtlety here, that's not leadership 101. It's like, I don't know if we're at leadership 401, but it's at least leadership 201. And it's what Jen just said about knowing when you know. Again, as you move in your career, you get good at solving problems. You also get good at pushing through. There is a role of putting the reps in sometimes, right? We have to apply ourselves. And yet, often we can get so good at applying ourselves that when we hit resistance in solving a problem, in closing a deal, in changing the culture of a team, whatever it is, often an accomplished leader says, okay, oh, resistance, I know what to do. Push harder, right? Like, I've learned this. Now I just need to work harder. But if we allow ourselves to kind of see what is, to see as a child instead of labeling it, we might allow ourselves to learn, okay, well, shoot, when I hit resistance, maybe I should try something different. When I hit a dead end, instead of trying to climb the wall or bulldoze through it, maybe I should take another route. And so it's really simple, and yet I think it ends up being counterintuitive to what most of us learn in our careers. Often it's hard for the people we work with to articulate what really lights them up, what Jen's saying, but everyone can really easily say what frustrates them, right? Or where they get discouraged. So we can sometimes start there and say, where are you hitting roadblocks? Where are you hitting resistance? What if those were signs that those are things to delegate or do differently, or, invite a partnership in for? And the alignment comes when you feel like that ease, that flow, that, oh, I could do this all day. So I just want to point, it's a nuance here, because there are times we need to apply ourselves. There's a role of work, but effort is optional. And I think that's what sometimes gets hung up. And if we can find the current, right, is how we talk about it in the book, we can paddle a lot faster than if we're pushing against the current.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It can be tricky because we all want to develop resilience within ourselves, right? Hard work, resilience, to be able to the ability to do hard things and to push through, the difficult things. And we all have things in our jobs that we don't like. I mean, I love being a professor. I love doing research. I love consulting with businesses, but there's things that I have to do that I don't like so much. I always use the example, like, I don't love grading papers. It's an important part of being a professor. I have to do it. I like providing feedback to students, but I don't like grading papers. I'd rather just be able to sit in a room with them and then be able to like talk to them about, their paper, rather than have to like mark it up and then, half the time they don't even look at it, And so, but guess what? It's part of my job. I have to do it, and hopefully I can do a good job of it. And we all have that. We all have different aspects of our jobs that we have to do. And so, learning how to do the things that maybe we don't like so much, but to do them well anyways, and do them in a way that can matter, to be resilient, yet to your point, to be able to also know when we're just spinning our wheels, pounding our head against a brick wall for no reason whatsoever, just because someone said, it's important to keep powering through. Like, that's just stupid. And yet that's kind of, I think, how so many people end up spending and wasting so much of their energy and time, emotional energy, trying to push through things that just don't need to be pushed through. Just step over it, or go around it, or do something totally different. And that's a mindset shift that I think a lot of people have a really hard time adopting. And it really can be quite liberating once you kind of have that self-discovery.
Yeah.
And people need tools. I think one of the things that we have practiced ourselves, and it was uncomfortable to learn at first, is there's real value in not pushing things through, of leaving it alone, putting it aside, going out in nature, connecting yourself to the muse, whatever you think that to be, listening to great music, changing the subject, and allowing your wisdom to come through, to work on whatever that was at its own time. It's how dreams work. You have a problem, you forget about it, and boom, a solution comes through your dream. You have a conversation with a friend, has nothing to do with the issue over here. You hear them use some sentence or some language that solves that problem you were churning on. So we kind of have tricked ourselves that actually the pathway of business leadership is vertical, it is linear. You push through, you go around, you jump over. But what if we just could let that aside and trust our intuition, trust wisdom coming through us, that actually the solution will take care of itself if we just let it be. So a lot of leaders just don't know that that's an option and haven't practiced that piece. that we encourage a lot of people to do.
I love that point that you just made, Jen. And John, you used a word as you were talking, resilience. And whenever this comes up, I don't want to say it's buzzwordy, but it's a word that for good reason has gotten a lot of use in the last 10 years. I do think we've shorthanded resilience to mean toughness, which is one meaning of toughness, but it also has a connotation of elasticity or pliability, of being able to spring back, and not necessarily like having a backbone like a steel bar, but being able to bend and sway. And that's really what we're talking about when we talk about alignment and intention and what Jen's talking about is not feeling like you have to be tough as nails. We're often called to be adaptable, to reconsider, to think differently. That doesn't mean in our values, right? Being clear on what matters to us, but maybe in the ways that we approach things, right? And allowing ourselves to focus on the substance instead of the form of how things get done.
Jeff and Jennifer, this has just been a fantastic conversation. I know we've only scratched the surface, but I also know at the time I need to let you get on with your busy days. Before we wrap things up, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, where they can find your book and other resources, and then give us the final word on the topic for today.
Sounds great. Well, maybe I'll plug, and then Jeff, you can give us the final word. Here's a picture of our book, Leading with Light, Choosing Conscious Leadership When You're Ready for More. It has a lot of practices and tools you can use around becoming more aware, aligned, and intentional. You can find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and any place you buy a book. It's also now on Audible, which is exciting. And we have a signature leadership retreat that's based on a lot of these principles called Lantern that we host at Heart Space, our retreat center in beautiful Park City, 3 times a year in April, June, and October. And conscious leaders in all different disciplines, for-profit, nonprofit, all over the world come to spend 4 days with themselves and strangers to really align to the light that they are. So if you want to go deep and you're really looking for support in a transition, or you're ready to kind of turn your light on in a new way in how you live and lead, we'd love to welcome you to that. So you can find out more information at plentyconsulting.com/lantern, and you'll find everything at plentyconsulting.com as well.
Yeah, and maybe that's where I'd go for the final word. I'll invoke the name of our company, Plenty. We say that our vision is our name, that we believe in a world of plenty for everyone. And that is rooted in this core belief that you are enough, that each one of us has what we're looking for, that we're the leaders that we're looking for. John, at the beginning, you started and said the world is a mess, and the world is a mess. There's messes all around. We don't have to do everything, but everybody can do something.
Yeah.
And maybe the something to start with is being kind and generous with yourself, about looking at yourself the way the people around you look at you, as someone who's needed and welcome and has a voice that can change things. If we start there, we're going to see around us the world that we want to create.
I love it. Well said. Jeff and Jennifer, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Jennifer and Jeff can do for you. Check out their website, their resources, their retreat, their book. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.